Today we're just trying out a new flavor profile on ribs. Come check it out. To start, we're just going to open up a package of IBP ribs that we got from H-E-B. What we're looking for in a good rib is straight bones if we can find them, and real thick and meaty from end to end. I also try to find a rack that has really good intermuscular fat. That's going to be the white streaks that are inside the meat, not so much the fat that's on top of the meat. I'm not going to be too aggressive with trimming this rack of ribs, but I am going to take the skirt off the back just to help it cook a little more evenly. The next thing that I'm going to do with this rack of ribs is pull the membrane from the back. You don't have to do this, but since I'm doing this on a drum smoker, I prefer to pull it. All you got to do is take a knife, get underneath the membrane, take a paper towel, grip it, and then just pull, and it should come right off. Now that I have the membrane off, I'm just going to give these a quick rinse. After I rinse, I'll just lay it back on the board and take a paper towel and just kind of pat it dry. And I'll look for any kind of little loose fat that may need to come off as well. Next, I'm just going to take my knife and look over the back side of these ribs real quick. Just make sure there's no excessive fat pockets that need to come off. If there is, I'll just pick it up and just kind of shave it closer a little bit. After I've trimmed up all the fat pockets I see, I'll take a little wire rack and just lay it over the backside. This allows me to see if it's going to fit on my pit barrel or not. Typically just a disposable rack from Walmart or wherever. It's usually the right size to fit on a pit barrel. So all I'm doing is I'm just taking off each end, and I'm not going to throw this away. I'm actually going to use this to put in some beans later, so try to save as much as I can. Now I'm just going to flip the rack over and basically do the same thing on the other side. All I'm doing is just making sure there's no excessive fat pockets, just trying to keep everything uniformed. Even though these are just a backyard rack of ribs, I'm still going to try to square these up as much as possible, just to make sure everything cooks more evenly. Now that I have these racks nice and trimmed, I'm just going to do a quick light spray on my cooking rack and then just get them nice and evenly laid out across it. Like I said earlier, I'm still going to use these pieces that we trimmed off. I'm just going to throw them in the oven and just break them apart and put them in some beans. That way I'm not wasting anything off these racks. I want to get these laid out as even as possible. That way I can get a nice even coating of rub all the way across them on the backside. For these, I'm just going to use a regular old Pam cooking spray as a binder. Today I'm going to be using the new Sweet Heat rub from Steak Tank. We're giving this a good try. We've always used the Steak Tank Attack in the past, and this is a new rub they've come out with. So we're just going to give this one a shot and see how it tastes. Since we're trying out this one, this is going to be the only rub that we use on these ribs today. I'm just going to try to get a nice even coat on these ribs. That way we can get a good sample in every bite. Once I have the backside seasoned, I'm just going to pat this in just to kind of help it stick to the meat a little bit better. It would be better if you would let them sit and sweat in for a little bit before you flipped them, but since we applied the Pam spray and patted them in, the rub's not really going to fall off, as you can see here. It's just going to stay on the back side of those ribs. Now that I've got them flipped over, I'm just going to try to make them sit as uniformly as I can. Now that we have them on this side, they're not going to move until we pull them off the rack a few hours later. And then once they're sitting how I want them, I'm just going to spray them again and then just apply rub the same as we did on the back side. For ribs, I don't really apply the rub too heavily, just enough to cover all the meat, but you still want to be able to see the meat through the rub. Even though we cut off these little scrap pieces and they're going into some beans later, I still want to flavor them just a little bit, so I'm going to add some rub to these as well. Now that we've got everything seasoned up, I'm just gonna let these sit and sweat in for a while. And like I said, we're using the new Sweet Heat from Steak Tank. Like I said earlier, I'm gonna be doing these on the pit barrel cooker, and I'm not gonna be hanging them this time. I'm just gonna spray the grate and set them on there, kind of like how we would do in the competition. You can definitely hang these ribs if you want to, as a pit barrel cooker is known for hanging ribs, but I'm just gonna go ahead and throw these on the grate this time. Once I have them in place, I'm just going to slide the rods into their slots. This kind of helps the pit barrel cooker stay around that 275, 285 degree mark. After the ribs have smoked for a couple hours, I'm going to put them in a wrap just to kind of help tenderize them a little bit. In this wrap, I'm going to add butter, honey, and some Steak Tank Tactical Sauce just to kind of give a little bit of that saucy flavor to it. Now you can either wrap bone side up or bone side down, but me personally, I prefer going bone side up with the meat down. And then on the back side, I'm gonna do the exact same process. I'm gonna spray these with butter and then add some honey and then a little bit more of that Steak Tank Tactical Sauce as well, just to kind of help juice them back up a little. And these already had a really great mahogany color to them coming off before the wrap. So I'm expecting a really good turnout on these today. And I'm not going to be very heavy-handed on the sauce with these today. Just a light line on both ends of the ribs and then one strip down the middle. All I'm doing is just adding a little bit of moisture in that wrap and giving it just a touch of flavor. I also like to double wrap my ribs just in case a bone pokes through and I start losing liquid. This kind of helps protect that from happening. It also helps trap the heat in a little bit better to kind of help tenderize it quicker. And these didn't take too long to tender up either. I only left them in the wrap for roughly 45 minutes before pulling them. I also let them rest for about 30 minutes before opening them up. And these turned out with a great color on them. And they feel like they have a great bend to them, so they should be perfectly tender. Now from here, I'm just gonna add a light line of homemade barbecue sauce. I don't like mine too saucy, and since these are still warm, they should soak in really nice. I like to cut my ribs with the bones facing up, and one trick I like to do is add a little bit of sauce to the board. It kind of helps that sauce not rub off as much when you're cutting them. Cutting them with the bones facing up allows you to cut a little more straightly. If the bone is crooked, you can kind of see the curve in that bone from the backside. And these actually turned out fairly straight all the way across with just a slight curve towards the end. Now here comes the best part of cooking ribs, getting to eat them. Me, I like the center bones out of the rack. I like to add just a little bit of sauce to the sides of them since we've already added some to the top, and then take a big old bite. Now these ribs turned out perfect to me. Being able to bite through them without the hull of the meat falling off the bone, just a nice little bite mark on that bone. The flavor on these turned out perfect as well. That rub mixed with the honey and the sauce in the wrap, just a great combination. I'll have the link in the description below if you would like to try some as well.